This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop. Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What is going on, and welcome to Take on the World with
How you doing?
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Merry Christmas from Johnny Hoville.
And from Michael Hoville.
Mike D-Spot.
How you doing? What's going on?
I am well.
Good,
Loving
good.
the sweater.
I love this is my favorite Christmas sweater ever.
I really want to get one of them flannels you got, dude. I'm digging them.
I love those flannels.
It's like we should plug them. We get some free flannels. I doubt it.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, that and that damn
I get flannels from a company that rhymes with Nixon, but starts with a D.
that was it beard oil or whatever that day you came in, you smelled like a church, and I kind of figured it out after I left. It smelled like when they light the candles with the matches or something, and then like it has like the whole essence of a church. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I love the smell.
So you're saying I smell like God?
You're a god.
Okay.
You're a god. Your dick's probably 3 foot long. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, you were sleeping last time.
But no, man, I just being that I don't go to church anymore. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. But being a young boy growing up in the Catholic household, I was always around the nuns and the churches and confession, but that whole smell brought me. When I walked in the room, I'm like, what Carolina are you wearing? I'm like, man, I thought I was gonna have to run out of the room, getting chased by a priest.
Speaking of nuns, so we did that episode on that Sister Soul Cutis.
Yeah.
So I watched something the other day of evil nuns throughout history.
Okay.
And she was on the list.
No shit.
But there were some wicked evil nuns.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. And
that would be a good topic.
When I went through grade school, those nuns would beat the shit out. Like, they would smack you with like that metal edge on that ruler. Like if you were supposed to, I think you never had your like elbows on the table. You always had to have your forearms. That was a big thing. And I forget what happened. They would like smack you with that fucking ruler.
She'd only smack me once with that ruler.
I think
she'd have to buy a new one to smack me next time. I'd break it.
I'm sure there were people like me, like, I don't know, you just kind of took it, and like you probably be the same way, like laughing like the whole way, right? Like, yeah, you little roller, don't fucking hurt me. But yeah, I remember one time they called me, she referred to me as Wild Man, and I remember sitting there in class, and some of my classmates were like, how do you say this word? And I would say, what does it matter? Just pronounce it. How it looks to you, cares what it means. And like, just like, when I look back, I'm like, you fucking moron. You know what I mean? Like, just say the word like poopy, or I don't know what the word was. Who cares what it actually, just pronounce it and say it.
The word is poopy. It means none with a ruler.
Yeah. And then I think like the next year after that, I had a really cool nun. She was very young. I think her name was oh man, what do they call nuns? I can't even remember what they called them.
Sister.
Sister. It was something that had like a city in New York. Sister. Whatever.
Sister Albany.
That's it. It
Get
was
the
all.
fuck
I
outta
swear to
here.
God, it was Albany. Yes, sir. You're right. Sister Albany, and she was like super cool. And then like, my dad for whatever reason, I think we were still married. I had like a rat tail. I was you sent me to school with this like long fucking rat tail, my blonde hair, right? And I'm walking down the hallway, and the nun came up, grabbed a hold of it, and cut it off with his scissors, put it in an envelope, and sent it home with me. And I was, what are you doing? You're a kid, like, oh, okay. I'm just walk this on, you know. My dad was like laughing. And he like set it up on the mantle. And but yeah, after third grade, I think fourth grade, I did some stupid shit, and then I ended up moving out to wherever. Anyways, where the fuck we got on this conversation?
Rat tail.
Like,
You were talking about your love.
Billy, could you?
You were talking about your love of nuns.
Yeah, I just
Your preoccupation with the nundom.
the nunhood, dude. I know. I played who was the guy who walked behind Jesus with the cross? I think it was. He had my same name, I think.
John.
Yeah, and so we did the whole like reenactment in the church, and I remember like I had a burlap sack on with like like, and I was like holding it. They had a legit like huge heavy wooden cross, and it was a kid like or somebody dressed with like that with like the
Crown of Thorns
on, and I was behind him with like a book, and like, you know, it's so like, yeah.
I would have started doing Monty Python.
He's just a wee little rabbit.
Get the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
You're not, but you just got two coconuts and you're banging them together.
I am not.
Good.
Anyway, we are gathered here today, ladies and
On
gentlemen.
this holy feast, right before Christmas.
We're going to talk about Alfred Packer. You might ask yourself, who the frick is Alfred Packer? You may know him better as...
He invented the Packer computer.
We're done.
That's it. That's all you know.
With his friend Hewlett. No, you might know
Alfred Hewlett Packer.
You might know him better as the Colorado Cannibal.
Wow. Why do I get all these cool fucking names? I want a cool name.
Yeah, you just got to commit some crimes, dude. You got to go eat some people or burn some forest down, or
Just got to cannibalize a couple corpses.
it could be the Frito Bandito Cannibal. He is one of the most notorious and some say beloved cannibals in Colorado's history.
Beloved is... That is the turn I did not expect.
See, but that doesn't happen until like the very end. Like everybody hated him until like the end.
That never happens. What, like, Jeffrey Dahmer, the beloved cannibal.
Jeffrey Dahmer, let me give you a hug. Just stuff in the middle of my neck.
Like, did you watch that series?
Dahmer?
Yeah.
The dramatized series or the...
Yeah, the dramatized.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I watched
What
it.
did you think of that?
I
I thought it was really good.
It's all right. Yeah.
And then, you know, you like get into the true story. Like, yeah, nobody's ever considered the beloved cannibal. That just doesn't even make sense.
Well, he was beloved by many
Beloved by the ones he didn't eat.
and chewed on by few.
Let me just chew the gristle on this now a minute.
So let's chew on this topic for a few minutes. So he's got a good Pennsylvania connection.
Of course.
Alfred Packer was born.
We have narrowed it down. Sorry.
Go ahead.
To
Wing Walker boots.
Wing Walker boots. Navy, Air Force, or Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So what is that? 5 connections?
Yeah. 7 separations of a psychopath.
I wonder if we can get this guy to Kevin Bacon.
Oh. Probably.
I'm sure we could. It'd probably be like 3 steps.
Yeah.
Just when you thought you like had the perfect candidate, he's like, "Yeah, I was in a movie with Alfred Packard in like 1842."
Alfred Packard's dad's brother. So he was born January 21st, 1842 in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh. His family moved to Indiana in the early 1850s, where his relationship with his father went down, down, down.
Down, down, down. He picked up a hockey stick and went.
By his late teens, it was so bitter, he just said, "Fuck it, I'm moving to Minnesota," because that's what all
Minnesota.
That's what all riled up youth did back in the 1850s. I'm just gonna move to Minnesota,
Sorta.
and I'm gonna become a shoemaker. So that's what he did. Moved to Minnesota and became a shoemaker. Packer served in the Union Army during the American Civil War. He enlisted April 22nd in 1862 in Winona, Minnesota. He was assigned to F Company in the 16th Infantry Regiment. 8 months later, he was discharged for having epileptic seizures. On June 1863, Packer enlisted in the 8th Iowa Cavalry Regiment at Ottumwa, Iowa, only to again...
I like the way you said that.
Ottumwa?
Ottumwa.
Do you know why I know that name so well?
I figure you were probably there or stayed there.
Nope. Radar O'Reilly is from Ottumwa, Iowa.
Radar O'Reilly?
From MASH.
Oh, okay. Ottumwa. I would have buffled that Ottumwa.
Yeah. Usually I would really stumble over a name like that, but good old Radar O'Reilly. Help me out again.
I'm glad I noticed that. I know you all too
well. He was discharged again on April 22nd, 1864, due to his epilepsy.
He's like loading his muzzle loader.
But look, the dude just wanted to serve. He thought he wanted to do what he had to do, and he tried twice, and he shook his way out of military service. Over the next 9 years, he drifted further west, going from job to job, never really keeping any of them too long due to his epilepsy. And he really had a very piss poor attitude. So,
well, I guess I would too.
Some of the jobs he held on his way out west, he was a hunter, a wagon teamster, a ranch hand, a field worker, and he spent a couple of months as a guide. And those who knew him said he was very ill-suited in the role. And
hey, which way did that elk go?
He was prone to losing his way.
Oh, God. I'm going to hell.
Let me read this map. We're going to go north. You're holding it upside down. Oh, we're going to go north.
Wait, hold on. What is epilepsy? Epilepsy is when you have a seizure.
Yeah.
All right. I don't feel so bad.
We're going to go north.
Fucking horses jumping around in circles.
He ended up working mining-related jobs, drifting from mine to mine, really never really striking it big in any way.
Shaking from mine to mine.
He made his way to the Colorado Territory, working as a miner, but not having any luck. Moved on to Utah. He was disliked and distrusted by most who knew him. He had a propensity to pathologically lie and steal.
Well, I guess you kind of would. I mean, it's like you got... You got that medical condition that's going to kind of hold you up. So you got to get it in. Got to hustle.
I don't know if he was feeling sorry for himself because of his medical condition or because he couldn't serve in the Union Army.
How bad was his epilepsy? Was he using that as...
Well, it couldn't have been horribly bad because he made it 8 months before they realized he was having seizures.
Right. I mean, and how bad of a fucking elk hunter you got to be on horseback to walk into a fucking crowd of elk?
Where'd you get that from?
I'm just thinking to myself. I'm like, they said he wasn't a good tracker. Like, if I had a horse, I don't know. I think I'd be pretty goddamn good at it. I don't want to toot my own horn.
I know you can call some elk. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And I know you could piss a bull off.
Yeah.
So now that we know a little bit of history of Alfred's background, let's jump to Robert McGrew of Salt Lake City. McGrew heard that there was a gold strike in Breckenridge. So he put together a party of 20 to join him to make the trip from Salt Lake City to the San Juan Mountains, south of Colorado Territory. They were mostly strangers. They really didn't know each other. When they left, November 1873, somewhere near Provo, George. Somewhere near Provo, George Tracy said the party encountered 23-year-old called Alfred Packer. After they told him they were headed to Gold Country and San Juan Mountains, Packer said he'd like to join them, claiming he was a prospector and a guide that he knew the San Juan Mountains and the surrounding territory. Since he had no provisions, he offered $25 to join the party. They needed a guide, so it seemed a perfect fit. It became quickly apparent to some members of the party that he had overstated his qualifications.
Now, how old is he at this time?
23.
23. That's a pretty young tracker.
Yeah.
But he was in the Army, so I would imagine he pretty well disciplined.
Yeah, for 8 months. Well,
yeah.
Between the two stints in the Army, maybe a year and a half.
Mm.
But I guess during the Civil War, that's no slouch time.
Well, it depends on what he was doing. Packer, get your goddamn hands out of your pants, you fucking weirdo.
I was having a seizure.
Yeah. Unless your penis was having a seizure itself.
He led the group to Ute Indian Chief Oray's winter camp.
I love watching you struggle with names.
Fuck you. Near modern-day Montrose in late January 1874. The party was told by the chief, like you should stay. Don't try to go on. If you do that, you're going to die.
Hey, listen, son.
There's storms coming.
Don't take a rocket science to figure out that big white cloud over the mountains is probably snow.
They said, wait till spring and then make your trek.
Sure.
However, knowing that another party had came and made it to Los Pinos Indian Agency, Packer thought that the group could do it the same. Only 5 others decided to take the risk with him. Like, they were so greedy, they're like, fuck it. Let's go with the kid who don't know what he's talking about.
Have you ever seen the tracking ability of this boy?
He could find a peanut that fell on his foot. If that ain't give you some comfort, I don't know what will.
He could find a needle in the middle of the ocean.
So 5 took the risk with him: Frank Miller, Wilson Bell, James Murphys, George Noon, and Israel Swan. The 6th man took advantage of Chief Oray's shelter and food for a few days, and in early February 1874, they left to continue their journey. If they had waited like 2 months, they would have been.
This would never been the story,
right? No eating, nobody, no nothing. On April 16th, 1874, winter gave way to spring. Packer emerged from the mountains alone. And this is according to the Lake City Mining Register. So,
you're right there. Too.
I don't know, it just hit me.
You're thinking all kinds of fucking
shibby. So, a lot of this information is from the Lake City Mining Register. So, I distrust anything any newspaper says.
Well, do you find it kind of amazing that they actually kept record of this shit that is still available to us today, even though it might be wrong?
You done?
Yeah.
Okay. So after resting at Los Pinos Indian Agency for a few days, Packer went to the nearest settlement.
Sasquatch, the nearest the Sasquatch settlement.
Sasquatch.
Sagoche. That's what I always say.
I don't know.
Sagoche.
When others inquired, Packer said a fearful snowstorm had moved in, filling the trail up to the men's knees. The Lake City Mining Register reported.
The last place you want to be was in the fucking mountains of Colorado.
Yeah, I know.
Knee high in snow with the winds. Oh, that's a death sentence.
They said the men were so desperate for sustenance they ate their moccasins. It didn't take long for questions to be asked. After being questioned, Packer gave various versions of what happened. So he didn't give a straight answer. He kept on giving different versions of what happened. He was questioned about his newfound wealth. He came back in town. Well, he came back into town for someone who was in the wilderness for a couple months with supposedly no food. He looked pretty well.
Yeah, pretty little
pretty spry.
Pretty spry.
He
little thick in the cheeks.
He had more money than he went into the wilderness with. So unless they found an Indian casino up there in the Colorado mountains in the 1800s, I don't know where he got his money. And
it's a coin pushing machine up in the they found in a cave
at the mountaintop. You know, you ain't been there? That's odd. Everybody's been there.
Lots of nice folk.
He began to cruise around town and drink heavily, which was he wasn't really known for before because he didn't have any money before. Packer really couldn't keep his story straight. Claimed he was starving, but again, he showed up with no signs of being unfit. He talked with officials at Los Pinos Indian Agency. Packer initially claimed, depending on which report you read, that either his feet had frozen or he had become sick, and the group had left him there to die, he said, with the promise that they would send help when he got to the destination. And that was his, this is why I'm not with them. They left me behind, and I had to make my own way out. I don't know where they are.
Right.
Of course, newspaper. That's from information from a newspaper, which I could care less about. After further questioning, General Charles Adams, local Indian agency of the Utes and Los Pinos agency, Packer signed his first confession on May 8th, 1874, in which he said something very, very different. A handwritten copy of the signed confession now hangs in the Hillsdale County Courthouse, and it reads that Swan, who was elderly, died first and was eaten by the 5 others. See, right away he admits that there is cannibalism. On 4 or 5 days later, Humphreys died and was eaten. Packer said he took $133 from Humphrey's pocketbook. Sometime afterward, while I was carrying wood, the butcher, Miller, was killed, and the other 2 told me accidentally, and he was eaten, according to his confession. He said Bell shot noon, leaving just 2 men from the party of 6. Bell wanted to kill me, struck me with his rifle, struck a tree, and broke his gun. In self-defense, Packer killed Bell, he said, and with that, he was the only one who remained. By late April, the differing tales, paired with the sudden riches and questionable actions, led to the public to believe that Packer had lured the men into the mountains intentionally to murder and cannibalize them. So he was arrested. He was charged with murder. General Adams quoted in another paper, Packer would hang himself by the discrepancies of his statements.
So
now he's arrested. He's put in chains. You think it's all done.
Right.
But it's not.
So they were originally going to go for a potential. I just bit my tongue. A potential gold rush.
Yes.
And all this shit transpired.
Right.
Mm. So it's like that traditional like movie, like where like you hire a hand and they don't know what the fuck they're doing and it comes into like a big fucking horror story.
Yeah,
And it's like a survival movie.
like the Hateful Eight.
Yeah. Or not so much the same, but what's that one where they went? It was in Colorado. We drove right by the place where they left in that river. It was Kevin Bacon. They
Bridge in the River Kwai.
something close. A river runs through it. A river runs wild.
Well, River Runs Through It was Robert Redford.
No, this was Kevin Bacon and I think it was a river wild. But anyways, kind of same deal, but just a fucking weird thing. I make connection in my mind. Anyways,
so Packer Packer disappeared. He escaped from jail.
this is what I was when in the video that I watched.
Yeah.
It was like this. It was a makeshift jail in the middle of the mountains, right? And it was like a fucking like outhouse, and he's like pushed the door up and was like,
Yeehaw!
like walked off for the next fucking 30 years, right?
So August 1874, he escaped. Within the same month of Packer's escape, some sources say even the same day, the gruesome remains of his party were found in the forest. So they took a reporter up there who drew a picture of the remains.
Yes.
And I think I have that picture in my folder, I'm pretty sure. So probably posting that up here. He found the bodies under Grove Spruce. Now, when he originally was questioned, they asked him to take him up into the mountains and show them where this all happened. And he took them up there, but they never found the spot. And he was just like, look, it was snowing. I couldn't find the spot. You know, I don't know where the hell it was.
Right.
And they said, well, you're intentionally not showing us because something else is going on. But after he escaped from jail, they found the spot. They found the bodies under a grove of spruce trees, partially wrapped in blankets, and promptly stretched them out.
Sketched
them out in an illustration, which that's I said I have. They had broken bones, skull fractures, and the fleshy and fatty parts of their bodies had been sliced away. Surprised they still have anything on them.
Yeah, there was like enormous, like I think they said there was like over 147 hatchet wounds on the skeletons.
Wow. So Packer was on the run for like 9 years. Until justice caught up with him at a saloon in Fort Fetterman, Wyoming in 1883. A French peddler who had been in Packer's original group of 21 explorers from Salt Lake City recognized his voice and laughed in the saloon.
That is the one.
According to a March 24th, 1883 article in Silver World, again, newspaper I don't trust. When the man peered through a crack in the saloon and he saw Packer, immediately and quietly alerted the authorities. Packer had been living under the name John Schwartzy, and worked as a rancher and prospector. He was arrested, transported back to Colorado in 1883. While in Denver, Packer signed a second confession on March 16th. Again, this one was much different than the story he told before. Like, why can't you just tell a straight story and keep to it?
But nobody was there. They would never know.
When he asked why he signed his prior confession in the first place, Packer responded, I was excited and I wanted to say something. And the story as I told was the first that came to my mind. In his second confession, he claimed that the group had become desperate searching for food, and one of them asked Packer to go up in the mountain and try to gain a better vantage point. When I came back to camp, after being gone nearly all day, I found the red-headed man, Bell, who acted crazy in the morning, sitting by the fire eating a piece of meat he had cut from the leg of the German butcher, Miller.
Hope that guy was dead.
Me too.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Miller's skull had been crushed by the hatchet,
Mm.
and the other 3 men were dead around the fire. Upon seeing Packer return to camp, Bell rushed at him with the hatchet. Packer shot him in the stomach. And that was what the confession read. So this is the closest thing to what actually happened, according to modern forensics.
Right.
I tried to get away every day, but I could not. So I lived up the flesh of these men for the better part of 60 days that I was out there. He was transported to Hinsdale County Jail, chained and placed in under close guard. He was never asked. He never answered the question of why he escaped. If he was not guilty, he only said that he was passed a key made of a knife blade, which unlocked his cell. He didn't say who passed him the key.
Well, what I get from this whole thing, he did not kill all. Well, it was the whole group was 5? No, was 6 or 5, including Packer.
There were 6 total.
Okay, so Packer gets into the snow squall, and it's believed that he kills all 5 people. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, well, what are the chances he's going to overcome 4 people with a fucking hatchet? They don't have bullet wounds or nothing, right?
Right.
Probably slim to none unless they were, even if they were sleeping. I don't think that would happen. So then he comes back with the story. Well, I left, and then 2 guys got into a fight, which eliminated 2. That left me 3. I shot the 1 guy, and then I had 3 dudes left over to cannibalize. So that kind of makes sense. Like, I didn't cannibalize all 6. I just did 3. Like, 2 guys just fought themselves out. Whatever. I mean, I wasn't there. So maybe cannibalism was the right answer, so he would survive. But did you watch? I should have sent you the video. It was like they literally dug up the graves.
Yeah.
And they compared that photo.
Right. That's what I said. The modern day forensics kind of support his final confession.
Right. But yeah, I just had I can understand more that than the original one. That how then they even said they counted all the hatchet marks on the skull the skeletons, and it was like, how are you going to deliver 147 blows from a hatchet onto 5 guys versus 1?
Yeah.
Unless you killed them all each, or somehow they were so malnutrition they couldn't fight back. But I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know.
So up here is the from the trial. It said, after several witnesses took the stand, Packer told his story. The one of Bell killing all the men while he was away, coming at him with the hatchet upon his return. And Packer
killed all the men. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Bell killed all the men. And Packer opening fire on Bell in self-defense, loudly and quickly, and requested that nobody talk until he was finished. After he said after killing Bell, he saw a piece of meat that had been overcooked on the fire, but I could not eat it, quote, according to a fucking newspaper that I don't trust. April 13th, 1883 story. That changed by morning. He was too weak to take the stand. He was too weak to stand, so he took a bite. Yeah. So the next morning, he took a bite of the meat. And right then and there was my last feeling. I gave up to it. I ate the meat. And It has hurt me for 9 years. I was perfectly happy, and I can't tell you how long I remained there. Okay, so he doesn't remember how long he was there, but he waited till the thaw.
Well, yeah, that's like I said. Could you imagine being those guys? They had to have been so weak. They're all huddled by a campfire, and you just start bludgeoning them to death with a hatchet. They looked at the bones. They were like, dude, there's like fucking multiple hatchet wounds on their bones.
Yeah.
Each and every one of them. And then the end result.
So eventually, it says to the public's delight, he was found guilty of the premeditated murder of Israel Swan, whose remains showed signs of hand-to-hand struggle. According to the city of Littleton, the crime was punishable by death. Packer received this verdict without emotion. So what happened after this?
It was a lot of things, actually. I think he was found guilty. He was,
But just of one death.
He was moved from he was like on death row, and then he got moved. And then I think the people started feeling sorry for him.
So, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. He was never charged with cannibalism. We just talked about this.
Right.
Because there was no law in the United States against cannibalism. However, there were plenty of laws in place that made cannibalism illegal, such as murder, illegal obtaining and consuming a body, or abuse. But cannibalism itself was not illegal. So you said he was moved to another jail?
Yes, I believe so. Because I think they sent a posse down after him. They were gonna like fucking hang him. Like, we're not waiting for the court to decide whether or not, and we're gonna hang this motherfucker ourselves.
And then?
Am I right?
I don't know.
I am just.
But you said there was a second trial.
Yes, and I believe. Well, no, I don't think it was a second trial. It was his appeal, wasn't it?
You said something about it being vacated because of jurisdictional thing.
Well, that's how he got off.
Well, tell the story.
I can't. I'm suck at it. I thought you had this covered.
No, I told you once we get to this part, I didn't finish the research.
Okay, so yeah, so it's I'll tell them my.
Let's see. Just 3 days before Packer's date with death, a legislative error was brought up that saved his skin. Packer had been charged under territorial law when Colorado was not yet a state. But when Colorado officially became a state in 1876, Packer was tried and sentenced to death under state law. In addition, Houston said the murders were allegedly happened in Ute Indian Reservation, which technically is not under territorial law. When Packer's lawyers discovered this inconsistency, they acted quickly, and as a result, Packer's execution date was suspended.
Right.
After almost 2 years, in late October 1885, the Supreme Court of Colorado officially reversed the murder conviction.
So I think what had happened, from what I remember, once he was apprehended, convicted, the townspeople were like, burn him at the stake. They moved him to a different place. And then this happened. He got a fuck, what do they call it? Fuck. His appeal. And like you said, they determined that, well, shit, this happened in Indian Territory. It wasn't Colorado back then. And then somehow like the townspeople like felt sorry for him and were like, well, just let him go. And I think that helped out his trial a lot.
So he was moved. There was a second trial in Gunnison County in August 1886. more than 3 years after his first trial. This time, because he was pretty sick during his first trial.
Yeah.
This time he had a little less luck. He still escaped with his neck intact. He was convicted of 5 counts of manslaughter, sentenced to 40 years behind bars in state penitentiary. So he didn't get the death penalty, but he got convicted of more murders.
I don't think he served any time, did he?
I'm looking.
I think they just let him loose. And I think
Oh, he was making dollhouses at the prison.
he met his demise like later on.
That's right. I remember seeing this in one of the videos I watched. While in prison, Packer became crafty, fashioning items out of horsehair, such as watch fobs and constructing large dollhouses. One of each on display at Hillsdale County Museum. Blah, blah, blah. The dollhouse, complete with electricity, was owned by many generations of families who claimed Packer made it for them. Back then, Prisoners Workshop had everything needed for this sort of project. I was never proven to have been constructed by Packer. While incarcerated, a controversial columnist with the Denver Post, who wrote under the name of Polly Pry, launched a movement on Packer's behalf, urging others that he was innocent. She published emotional articles.
Yeah, see, this is when they turned
in
his favor.
Started to turn public opinion in Packer's favor. That was enough to give Packer his freedom. In 1901, he was paroled by Governor Charles Thomas after serving less than half of his 40 years. He was just shy of 60 years old at that time. So something he did at 23 had him in jail or on the run till he was 60.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think he did not live out his life as you would probably want to. I think he meant an early demise, I would say. Maybe. I don't know.
Packer died in his 60s, April 1907, of trouble and worry.
The fuck does that mean? Old age?
I guess. Huh.
Where's he buried?
Packer rests at Littleton Cemetery in a concrete-covered grave. His tomb simply reads Alfred Packer, COF, 16th U.S. Infantry. The corner is damaged. Huh. So anyway, like, I don't know how he's the original headline was.
Look, they have a fucking massacre site and the whole thing.
I don't know how he's a beloved cannibal.
Yeah.
But they did swing public opinion. And I know from the thing you sent me, the video you sent me, they did do a forensic accounting of the site. They found the gun. And it had 2 rounds out of it.
2 rounds fired out of it.
Right, 2 rounds fired out of it, which matches his second confession.
The rest of the cylinder was full of bullets.
Right. Matches his second confession to the T. And they speculate that his second confession is exactly what happened.
I can see that happening. Like, you're nervous and, you're trying to not indict yourself. Maybe you didn't have a lawyer. I don't know.
I think that when he first came out of the mountains, he was just scared about what happened.
Sure.
And he's like, fuck, what do I say?
How
did I get this money? How did I, what? I don't know. They were all having sex with each other. I ran. Right.
Yeah, sure. Or, I mean, like, what's a dead man going to do with a wallet full of money? You took that. Is it?
Oh, like that. I think that's the least worrisome thing about the whole thing. You got 5 dead guys. You're going to leave their shit there? Like,
yeah.
Okay, he's got a pistol. He's got a warm blanket. I'm taking that shit.
Right. And I think that, there'll probably be people that burn you on that. Like, oh, it's not the right thing you do. Well, listen here. You weren't there, so you don't know.
When you're fucking knee deep in snow, tell me what the right thing to do is.
Yeah.
So, kind of rushed through that one a little bit, and
Yeah, we did. It's been a while since we recorded.
I didn't finish all my research on this one, so
You piece of poop.
I was counting on you to
The first time.
Phil-
Yeah, you were like yelling at me like, I'm like, what do I do? I don't know. What does
I
that
was
mean?
counting on you to fill in the blanks because
I kind of did.
a little bit
Kind of did.
you did some.
Did as best as you think I would do.
Yeah, I thought you'd do better. Anyhow,
You know what? Fuck Chicago.
and Detroit. So that was
Unless you
Alfred.
bring me a big fucking Chicago style pizza.
Well, deep dish. I don't want none of that.
Deep
thin,
dish.
I don't want none of that thin crust.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of interested in that.
I don't like it.
Chicago said that was the crust is theirs.
Okay.
They own that.
They can have it.
I'll try it.
I just don't like thin crust.
I love all kinds of pizza.
So that was Alfred Packer, the Colorado Cannibal, notorious and
Beloved.
some say beloved. We took on that. You go take on the world and don't eat nobody while you're doing it.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, boomer.
Damn millennials.
Wow. Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.